put him on his back. Thurston, right foot kick, down the ground, into the in goal almost. Hodgson cuts it off. Hodgson taken by Norton. He took him late. Marshall skips away. Marshall's still going. Marshall's got Richards coming up outside. Now inside. Richards pursued. He pushes Johnson away.
Good evening, everybody. Tuesday, the 24th of March, 2026. You're back for another episode of the Tiger Town podcast with your hosts, Zach and Toby. Zach at this end. Toby is at the other. Brought to you, as always, by Best On Ground Digital. Best On Ground Digital, the digital marketing agency that looks after the little guy. Score in the corner with bestongrounddigital.com. Toby, mate, greetings from the first aid office.
Yeah. What the hell? I said to you after, and we're obviously going to delve deeper into it, so I'm not going to start it now, but I said to you after the game, who was the fan that walked under a ladder that had a black cat on it while throwing a mirror on the ground? Because I'll throw shit at you. Because our luck just is atrocious.
Yeah, in recent years, it hasn't been too bad in all things being told, especially last year. I think we actually got pretty lucky last year.
I'm not talking about injuries. I'm just talking in general.
Yeah, that too. But we're 2 weeks in, and this week, we're missing our starting halves and our starting centres, really. Latu's been named in extended reserves.
Mm-hmm.
Don't know what that looks like. We'll talk about that a little bit later. So he's still missing from our likely 19 at the moment when he's fully fit, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
There's 5 and some pretty key players there.
Yeah.
So, look, could be worse. There is silver linings. I got to admit, when I saw the response that Jerome had with that injury and I saw the mechanism, I had some pretty big concern about ACL and the fact he got up and started walking around on it after the fact. Paradoxically, if anyone knows much about ACLs and how they respond acutely, that made me confirm that I thought that was the case. So we got lucky there. And then Dewey, mate, looked like it was grade 3 off the bone.
Oh, absolutely. I said to my wife after that, I'm like, that's come off the bone. That absolutely has.
It looked horrendous. And he's been cleared of injury. So
apparently it was just cramps.
Or, some tightness that he felt. So that's a concern. Obviously, tightness is going to be a precursor, and you don't always get that. But maybe he's just been told to be very, very, very mindful of it, and they weren't about to take any risk with him. That being said, he's been named to start less than 7 days later.
Yeah, and not only that, he's flying over to NZ. So generally, if it's I am no doctor, and I will never state that fact, but as far as I'm aware, when you have an injury like that is, I guess, within the muscle, flying is probably not a good thing.
Yeah, it's more longer haul flights, I think. Like Perth flights will be a heavy consideration, but they do talk about it, and there's a variety of things with it. That's not my area of expertise, so I don't really talk on it. I won't talk on it too much, but it's generally something they do tend to avoid.
Surely we've got somebody, one of our listeners is in the medical field that can clarify all that stuff for us. So leave us a comment if you are.
Yeah, for sure. I just haven't read the data on it. I think with general soft tissue injuries, it's not that massive of a deal, but depends on the scenario. I think that some of the atmospheric pressure changes and bits and pieces and being at altitude could affect it, but like you said, as a general mantra around injuries and things, they do tend to avoid it. But we'll have to wait and see. He's been named, mate, so he's there for a reason. And Benji has shown he's not going to sacrifice the short term for the long term gains of the club and over the course of the season. And it is only our third game against a pretty red hot Warriors side. So if he's not right, you probably think he won't play. But we'll talk a little bit more about that later.
Absolutely.
Mate, it's time for a little segment that we call News from Tiger Town. Yes, it is News from Tiger Town, where we go through all the major stories out on the airwaves over the course of the last 7 days. And this week, there's not a whole lot. So the Tigers haven't really been featured in a whole lot of extracurricular articles or whatnot around the traps.
There hilarious.
There was talk last week, and this is an old story now, but the name Bronson Cherry came up in relation to the Tigers. Even Drinkwater popped up, and I think as soon as they were brought up, they were shot down. Benji saying emphatically, probably not ecstatically, given our centre stocks, but emphatically that he rates them as footballers, but we're not in the market for them at all. We're not interested. We've got a fullback and we've got centres that are on the way back as well. So as good players as Sherry and Drinkwater are, there's no interest from the Tigers there. And he sort of lamented the fact that we've known for a long time is it's not just the Tigers, but it seems like it has been for a long time that anytime anyone pops up, our name often gets dragged into it.
Yeah. We discussed that one last week. So, yep. Not much to add.
Yeah. So it was just more the quashing of it, I guess. That's happened since we released our last pod. The multicultural jersey sort of launched and ran and wrapped up all in one weekend. So it sort of popped up late in the week and we played in it and we probably won't play in it again for the rest of the year. So they may well, but I'm not sure.
I thought it looked all right.
Yeah, I thought it looked all right. It was definitely different.
Yeah.
Not overly traditional in a lot of senses, but it sort of goes with the theme a little bit this year, I think. Certainly one of those ones that you'll probably, people that purchase it will hang on to it and probably be a little bit like this one, mate, in that it's one of those rare ones that sort of pops up every now and again, for better or worse. People either love them or hate them.
Yeah, like I ain't buying another one. My wife will absolutely slaughter me if I buy another one. That'll be 3 in the space of like 4 months. So not buying another one. But yeah, like I said, I didn't mind it. I'll reiterate, you've wore that jersey a couple of times. I'm just not a fan of that one.
This one?
Yeah, the yellow
for anyone listening on Apple or Spotify, if it's on YouTube, I'll describe it to you and then I'll stand back for those that can't really see because it is a close camera. It's the one from, I want to say, 2012, 2013, circa.
I think it was Adam Blair's first year with us.
Yeah, and I think was it a trial only? It's the yellow.
It was a training one.
Was it? They played in it too, though, I think, at one point.
Maybe. Oh, maybe. Yeah.
Sevens or something back then. Anyway, grey up on the traps, short white sleeves. It's mainly yellow with the orange and we got orange and black and white chevron through the centre. It's not a bad looking jersey, just the colours are just jarring for Tigers fans. Anyway, I'll model it. Here we go.
The big Meriton. We all love those days. Hyundai.
I like it. I like it because it's different. But I think that, the one on the weekend may well turn out to be one of those, mate, that people look back and maybe forget because it's a short-run
jersey we had 3 years ago that features American soldiers.
It's funny. That popped into my head as I was saying it, and then John Bateman's name popped into my head too. He was the one that had modelling it, and he was an Englishman wearing American soldiers to commemorate an Australian wartime remembrance.
Oh, just some absolutely classic moments in Tigers.
Club's come a long way in 3 years, mate.
Yes, we have.
Also, late last week, the club had congratulated Jade Fanua on her pregnancy announcement, and we'd mentioned Shaylee Bent joining on a 2-year deal from the Titans. Mm-hmm. I'd forgotten. It's Dave Fafita's partner from Souths, Shaylee Bent.
There we go.
Outside of that, mate, the only other thing to report will be the injury update, which came through yesterday, which I dare say that most people will be around now. The major ones being Jerome Luai suffered an MCL. Yep. So valgus movement of the knee. So the collateral ligament on the inside.
Outside of the knee.
Inside. So medial collateral ligament. Yeah. So 4 weeks, which says it's probably a medium strain or so. Don't expect him to come back early. Not that they can't, but I think given that timeline, 3 versus 4 weeks, you're not going to gain a whole lot, and it's worth rehabbing those properly. Probably expect to see some strapping on the inside of his leg when he comes back, so he might be a little bit limited for a little while, but hopefully that all goes well. Dewey, mate, we mentioned earlier the big one, cleared of injury, and he's been named on the weekend. So either he was just being very precautionary, or as like you said, maybe it was feeling a cramp or tightness cramp combination, weird sort of thing, and it settled pretty quickly. Weird for me, and even NRL physio on the socials made a comment of sort of how unusual it looked versus what it turned out to be in some regards.
Yeah. My initial thought when it came out as, when you posted, I think I was driving or something at the time, and you posted the message saying, Dewey's been cleared. My initial thought of that was how he reacted to it. Is it some form, and I'm probably exaggerating everything here, but is it some form of PTSD with him given his history with injuries? He's like, fuck. And so he's like grabbed it, extremely concerned that something, and it ended up being nothing. So I don't know.
Maybe. The other thing too is it looked like he was wearing compression anyway. So
yeah, well, apparently I didn't notice it, and I haven't rewatched the game yet, but apparently that came on in the second half. He didn't have that on in the first half.
Yeah, okay. So maybe he's just very mindful of it. Anyway, it is what it is. Good news that he's been cleared of injury. I do have a fair concern, like you were talking about, given his response and given how aware of it he is. Because if he's hyper aware of it and he doesn't have confidence in it, that will change his gait, and that will leave him susceptible at the knee if he's just moving or nursing it, or even subconsciously, if he's sort of babying it a little bit through his movements and the way that he gets around the field, it might quote unquote hamstring him a little bit. Even if it's functional, it could be a mental barrier. So I hope that's not the case, and I'm sure though that Peter Mercer and his team will put him through the rigours this week to make sure he is good to go, because you don't risk hamstrings.
No,
if they're touch and go, so to speak, they're a bad twang to have. Like a lot of big soft tissue.
yeah.
Calves
we
so.
all lived through those hamstring days of Tedesco and Brooksy, so we all remember those. So.
Yeah, Brooks in particular. There's been a few players over the years that have been particularly susceptible to hamstrings. Like Latrell's a big one. Like Turbo.
Yep.
Tom Trbojevic has been a big hamstring guy.
It's generally tall players.
Can do, yeah. But anyway, good news. We'll see how it plays out, and hopefully they line up. We'll have a chat about that a bit later in the show against the Warriors, but hopefully they line up as per, and he can take his place in the side and get through the game unscathed.
Yep.
Taylor May's looking around round 8. Subluxation, there was no further structural damage, meaning that there was no further ligament damage, no
chip of the bone or anything.
No chip of the bone, so no issue with the socket becoming slightly less stable in general. So it's just a matter of rehabbing that area, regaining motion, and regaining sort of neural confidence in it too, so those stabilisers can hold it tight.
Did you hear Benji talking about it? Because he's an expert on it.
Well, yeah, he's had a few, hasn't he? Yeah. So he would have heard a few surgeons describe it in a number of ways, and he's summarised it pretty well, I think.
And he did it exactly in the way that I expect someone like him to do it. Talk about golf. Yeah,
and the shoulder's about stability. So you're better off playing with a tight shoulder than you are with a loose shoulder.
Oh, yeah.
So,
I know.
I know you know. So round 8's looking like for him, and they mentioned that Latu nearing a return, and lo and behold, he's been named in the 22-odd man squad, but we'll talk about that in a little bit as well. Mate, for now, given the week that we've had and a bit tumultuous at the game itself, but that's it for news from Tiger Town.
Before you stop, the one thing. I just wanted to bring up one other thing, and I'm not sure if you saw, but they released the retro merchandise.
Did I see? Mate, did I see?
Well, you didn't bring it up, did you? You didn't bring it up.
Toby, mate, it's already in the satchel. It's on the way.
I was going to sit there and say for that price, no way. $120 for polo. You joking?
I didn't look at the polo. No, I bought the spray jacket, Benji's spray jacket.
Did you actually?
Oh, yeah. I bought the shit out of that the moment it popped up.
See, that's not bad. That was like $150. That's not bad, but $120 for a polo? Fuck.
No,
Wait, Shawnee, what are you doing, mate? You're supposed to be for the members.
Yeah, I've wanted a big, a good quality West Tiger spray jacket like that for a long time, and they've had a bunch of good ones, but I've always thought they're a bit overpriced. Not that this isn't, but as soon as I saw that, I loved it.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it just popped up and hit me at the right time today, and I went, bang, that'll be me. So
fair. That's fair. Can't wait to see it. But that's it from
Thanks.
Tiger.
That's news from Tiger Town. So me buying the new retro spray jacket is not news. So we could have probably left that to after the outro, but
I think it's quite good news.
Toby, ladies and gentlemen. 20-16, the Tigers went down to the Rabbitohs up at Polytech Stadium in Gosford. Just a sidebar. Obviously, we weren't at the game. If anyone was, let us know if we are wrong here. That looks like a pretty cool little stadium to watch footy, and it was good to watch on the television.
Yeah, I agree. It kind of reminded me a little bit of more of like a Shark Park sort of layout.
Just without being broken down and shit.
Yeah, breaking glass and all that crap.
Like a bit of an... Yeah.
Silver lining to that, it did injure Cameron Sorrell, though, so that's funny.
Yeah, true. Not going there. Hey, just fair crowd, near on 20,000, 19,940. Just briefly, we'll get into the nitty gritty in a minute. Just sum up that game in a sentence.
Winnable, but lacked polish.
Okay.
So I think that obviously we started off slow, very slow. I thought it was going to be a cricket score, to be honest. But to our credit, we fought back into it. Our defense ended up becoming really strong. The last two tries they scored in the second half, just fluke. It was a bat back that landed directly in Latrell's hands.
Yeah.
And
then the ball skipped under Skelton's arm.
And then the ball skipped under Skelton's arms.
Yeah.
Literally, like, going straight and then just does a left-hand turn right at the last second. It's hit a divot or something in the ground. And so our defense really tightened up, but our attack was... I wanted to talk to you about this after the game, but I thought I'd leave it for this because it seems like a good topic of conversation. Because I feel that you probably think similar to what I think, but is that more due to our attack or to South's defence?
On the weekend?
Yeah.
The scoreline, you mean, or?
How we were in their 20, because we had a lot of ball in their red zone.
Yeah, I think it's a variety of things. I think South defended really well, like generally, and I thought their scramble was exceptional. I actually thought, as much as the Cowboys were bad last week, some of the Cowboys' scramble was exceptional as well. I think we've come up against two sides that have actually scrambled pretty well. For whatever the Cowboys and the Rabbits are this year, they've both scrambled. And there's been games on the weekend. This is just a sidebar, by the way. There's been games on the weekend where that wasn't the case. Like if you watch the Roosters play, the Sharks play, the Knights play, they were fucking awful in defence. Yeah. There was no desperation, no anything. Had we played those teams, in terms of a defensive standpoint, we score more tries. It's interesting, the stuff in the 20 for me, and this is just my take on it, but we look like, and it sort of sounds like the way they're talking about it, we look like a side that's just happy to camp down there. Throw the ball around, maybe a couple of plays, the odd offload here or there, will turn a man under. Rightio, no worries. You're getting the tackle 4. Rightio, let's set up for a repeat set. Don't get a repeat set, we'll pin them down. Or as soon as we get back down there, cool, we're just going to camp out down here. So not trying to make every post a winner. And, there's pros and cons to that. But you've got to really heavily rely on the creativity of your players, I think, in order for that to happen. And we've got it. Like, we've got the offloaders there, and then you've got your Luais and your Bullers and your Appies, and when Taylor's fit, you've got Taylor there, and you've got Marcy and Toa who can create when he needs to. So you've got the creativity there. But when it doesn't work, it looks like it works on the weekend. When you get a side that's desperate and can defend for long periods, which Souths did really, really well, it just looks like somewhat rudderless. I think that against sides that aren't on, we'll probably put some scores on this year. I think, like against the Cows, I think we'll just catch fire against certain teams and shit will just stick. And I wouldn't be surprised if we have, there's a bold prediction, we have 3 or 4 wins in the 40s and a 1 or 2 in the 50s. Like, I reckon we'll score points, but I think against good defensive outfits who work hard, especially on underplays or insides, I think we'll struggle to score points. And I think when we default to set plays, unless it's off a scrum, I think we look pretty pedestrian, to be honest. So I think our best chance is to double down on it, but it becomes harder when we are missing some of our key players. So it's what do they do? I'm going to assume they're going to stick with the game plan because it seems like this is the Benji ball that people are talking about. And I see how it's got merit. Like, it's almost like a Walker Brothers, some creepy version, creepy is the wrong word, some weird interpretation of the Walker Brothers version, which was just hold possession. The teams that generally win football games are the ones that have the possession. And this was their thing back in the day. And they had mixed success. People over report the success they actually had, but underpinning a lot of that was time with the ball. And I think he's trying to build our side into a side that doesn't panic with the footy. If we don't score on one set, it's all good. Let's just play the percentages, play down in their end, and make sure that the rest of our game warrants that. Kicking early, our line speed is massively up, our first contact is massively up, and we dominated South for territory. Credit to them, they took their opportunities, they defended really well. We dropped the ball over the line again. You know, Royce drops the ball 3 centimetres from the ground. He doesn't drop that. It's likely 20-12. And this is prior to the injuries, and the game goes to a different universe, and we probably go on and win it, and Dewey and Luai don't get injured. So, like, that game was, that's a bit of a monologue, but that's sort of early days, what I'm seeing.
Yep.
What about you?
It wasn't like I was sitting there getting frustrated with them, if that makes sense. I thought that we should have scored more. I thought there were times when the wrong decision was made, you know. Dewey go short when he should have gone long, or the show and go was on for Luai or something like that. But I wasn't getting frustrated and saying you should have taken that, you should have done that, because it just felt like we were building. That's what it felt like, and I guess that's what you're alluding to, is camping, building pressure, things like that.
We're in control for a lot of that game.
Oh, absolutely.
We looked the better side.
Yeah. And again, you think about, it's probably fair to say, apart from the Whiten try, every single one of South's tries was just pretty lucky. You know, it was the right place, right time. The bounce of the ball went their way.
Well, what I'll add to that, though, is
Massey.
Yeah. What I was going to add to that, though, was the fact that you mentioned the 2 lucky bounce tries for their kicks, which is true, and you got to get that. Teams are going to get luck all the time. But, like, their first 2 tries, too, were just simple one-on-one misses, and that doesn't happen in the NRL all that much. That's probably the first one-on-one miss I've seen of Mussy.
Yeah.
And when was the last time you saw Jerome Luai miss a tackle one-on-one that led to a break, much less a try?
Yeah, true.
So I think South just happened to roll double ones. Like, they got lucky on a couple of things, and their defence allowed them to stay in the game long enough where it got them there. It was 4 tries to 2, but it could have been anything. Like, outside of that bit of luck, South could have scored 0 tries, and if we things had clicked and they had dropped off a tackle or 2, we could have scored 5. Like, I think that's just where the chips sort of fell a bit. But the one-on-one misses, I think you don't, especially as we go on with this squad, you won't see that very often either.
No, when you talk about the fact that, Whiten schooled Massey, and it was true, he did. He got him, palmed him right in the chest, fended him off. I don't remember Whiten actually making another break after that, through Massey at least.
No, but he was very strong defensively.
He was, and that, like, if Gray and White aren't in that side, they lose.
Oh, if Gray's not in that side, they lose.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, he was the one that stopped Skelton when he was coming back against an angle 4 metres out from the try line. Like, yeah, they and credit to him. Like,
oh yeah,
great game. Yeah. So, yeah, it was a funny one, mate, wasn't it? Like, I was with you. I wasn't getting frustrated. It seemed like it was inevitable that we were just going to come over the top of them. And I think in all ways except on the scoreboard, we sort of did. and then bang, we fell behind late, and then bang, we lost our 2 halves, and it was like, and then the game ended, and we were sort of just looking around going, that sucks. Like for most of that game, it didn't look like that's the way that it was going, in my
No,
opinion.
I was, coming out of at halftime. Then they scored first, I think. Yeah, they scored first, and then we leveled it up with that penalty goal. Generally, I'm sitting here going, oh, where are they going to lose this? I don't know. I just didn't have that feeling. I was like, it's ours for the taking. Now, is that more because we were better than South or all that jazz? It's probably a mixture of everything. But yeah, I don't know whether this false sense of confidence is going to last, or if it is false sense of confidence, maybe it is confidence. But yeah,
I think it's only false from our perspective as fans because we've followed the same club the whole time. And as they are at pains to say, this isn't the same club or the same team anymore. This is a different assembly of men, and most of these men aren't perennial losers. They've come from winning systems, or they've at least played in winning teams at certain points.
Yep.
I say this with the greatest of respect, everybody, knowing I'm full right in the pack with you. The only losers at our club are the fans so far, because we're the ones that have followed a losing club for so long.
Yeah.
Like, we're the ones that are tied to the lack of success. These players aren't tied to the lack of success historically.
Yeah.
So,
well, man,
yeah, anyway.
Kai Pearce-Paul did come from the Knights, so.
Yeah, true, but anyway. Stats-wise, mate, like we're on top of them, relatively even in some ways.
Mm-hmm.
We more possession, 54 to 46%. Where you expect then us to lead all runs, all run meters, post contact. They're all pretty much on par in terms of where they should be from a ratio point of view. Line breaks was 4 apiece. Tackle breaks, ours 42 to 29. Total set distance, this was a big one. We were marching up the field, no worries whatsoever. 41.1 to their 37.5. Kick return meters, 123 to 70. Play the ball speed was nearly identical. 14 offloads to 11. So offloads were back up after a bit of a quieter week. Hang on. No, offloads are back up. And everything else is, I'll keep going down there through, nothing overly consequential that I can see. Effective tackle, back up again this week. I think it was down at 84 or so last week. Rabbitohs 83.5, us up over 87%, which is pretty good in terms of the statistics. They had 4 ruck infringements, 16 errors. So Bunnies made a fair few errors themselves. It sort of reads like a side that had most of the running, us, and we just didn't get there.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to, with those stats coming out, it's, I don't know, I guess, again, it comes down to the one that got away, and hopefully it's not one that comes to bite us in the arse at the end of the year.
Yeah, well, every year we talk about it, and often in recent times, not that it's actually mattered really, it's mattered for spoons, but just the amount of winnable games that we've just tossed away early in seasons in the last 5 years. Longer, but in particular the last 5 years, like every quote-unquote winnable game, it seems like, we just lose in close games. It's frustrating, and this will fall into that pile, no doubt. What's interesting, though, is that post-game, I feel in a lot of ways that we play them again, same sides, we probably beat them 7 or 8 times out of 10. And going into the game, Souths were short price favourites. And just about everybody you talk to, yourself included, had Souths beating us.
Yep.
Like, we had them in a number of areas.
Yeah.
And even though the fact that they won the game and they scored 2 more tries than us, I think like systematically they didn't really break us down that much. Just a shame that we couldn't convert it into the 2 points, but hopefully that will come. We might jump into a bit of lift and sink, mate, before we start looking heavily at individuals.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to start off on a negative note this week with a sink. Have you got someone who early stages needs to maybe just have a little bit of a look in the mirror, a couple of areas?
I'll get you to go first on this one. I went first last time.
Oh, okay. Just throwing me under the bus. Okay. I wasn't ready. I was going to use that thinking time to figure you out. Have you got a lift yet?
I got a lift. I don't have a sink.
I'll tell you what. We'll throw you a lift and we'll give ourselves both a little bit of grace. How about that? Mate, who's your lift this week?
My lift is actually Royce. I thought he was huge off the bench.
Yeah,
He
agree.
absolutely swung that game.
Well, he nearly scored what could have been a match winner of sorts.
Yeah, he was huge. And,
10 runs, 102 metres, 49 post-contact metres, all in 22 minutes.
The funniest part about all that is, too, he only had 5 tackles. So they didn't run at him at all.
He had twice as many runs as he did tackles.
Yeah, they didn't run at him at all. And he had a couple of his back fence runs, which was awesome.
Yeah.
He was huge.
He played on the weekend exactly what we got him for. And he did swing the game in our momentum. Again, we just didn't capitalise on it. Yeah. 2 weeks in a row, dropped the ball over the line. So that's a good one.
Yeah. What about you?
I'm going to say through the middle. I'm going to say Fanua Bole. I thought he was far improved this week.
Yeah, I agree. And in the headgear, that really weirded me out. I didn't know who it was.
I like it. He played a little bit less minutes. 8 runs, 100 metres, 47 post contacts. So similar numbers to Royce, just in, a little bit longer time on the field. But he just was playing with intent. His tackle efficiency was well up into the 90s, which for Fanua is pretty good. Tackled a fair bit, 29 for only 2 missed in the middle there. So that's a pretty high workload without the ball. And you got to remember as well that as starter, he and Terrell, we barely had the ball for the first 10 minutes. Barely at all. I think we had it for one set, if that.
Terrell was huge too. Terrell, 34 tackles for no misses.
Yeah.
And 121 metres.
Yeah.
In how long? In 60 minutes?
60 odd, which is a sweet spot for him, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. It was quite
running
good.
with more intent with that energy.
Yeah. And I think, actually, if I just find, there's so many on here, offloads. Yeah, I thought he put the offload back. A couple of dummies, 5 passes, 2 offloads. So the more he's sort of touching and throwing the ball around a little bit, he's quite a skillful bloke, Terrell.
He is, yeah.
I think we've got the balance of that pack right in a lot of ways. The reason I mentioned Bole over someone like Twal, who continues to be in outstanding form.
It was between Twal and Royce for me.
Yeah. Is like Twal at the moment is up there most weeks. Pole needed to lift, and I saw it, and he had a great game. And I think Royce is probably in the same camp. Not so much from Cow's game, but maybe from what we saw at various points last year. It's an improvement.
Yep. Agreed.
Very pleasing to see. All right, mate. Sink-wise. You had a bit of time now?
You can go first still.
You want me to go first again?
Yeah. Well, you didn't go first for the lift. I did.
Yeah, true. Just trying to get out of it.
Yeah.
For me, there's still parts of Buller's game that need to improve. I thought that he looked quite good at the start of the game. He's pumped at the start of the game.
Yeah, and I thought screaming at the ground and shit.
Yeah, and I was really excited to see what we're going to get out of him. I think he had a lot more intent early in the game. I'm just going to keep going back to the same boring thing, and it's probably unfair on him because it's probably more situational and he's working with different 3/4 at the moment, but just how and when the timing of those backline swings are working and what his role is in those is still just not where it needs to be. And I'm not necessarily putting the blame on him, but he's a major player in that, and rarely does Jareem's angle or his ability to bite in make space for others. And I think it's just a continued area of improvement. There's probably a few that I could go down through the list and have a look at this week, but no one really stood out for me, but that did stand out for me on a couple of occasions. And I think that as long as, here's a blunt statement, I think most of our block plays and backline sweeps our weakest link is Buller.
Yeah.
In terms of position.
That's no doubt in my mind.
Not saying the worst play. I love Jareem.
Yeah.
And I love what he can do. I just, in terms of positional play and where people are and how deep we are and whether we're sitting inside, outside of lead runners and that sort of thing, his positional play on those continues to stifle us. And whether it's where he gets the ball, whether it's the timing of the pass, when he accelerates, if and when he bites to the line, whether he shoots 45 out and runs his guys out of space, there's just work that needs to be done. And it's a bugger because I can see the setup of some of those second man plays is beginning to look good. I love when they're really stacked deep. But he just has a knack for sort of just flattening it out.
He really is at times the tuba in the string section.
Yeah, that's which really is one way to put it. I just think it's repetitions and positional work, and I think there just needs to be more put into that part of his game. That being said, I thought he was better, and it's probably a rough thing in a lot of ways because he played better than he played against the Cows, in my opinion.
Well, he ran for 185 metres, so he was trying his hardest. He's just
absolutely, his intent was way better, and that was testament to how he started the game. Like his first carry, I was really interested to see because we saw him shouting and firing himself up before the game. That's obviously been something he's been told to do. His first carry, he ran straight back into the teeth of the defence real hard, which you don't feature him do.
Too, actually.
So you could tell that, okay, bang, he's on. He's been told or he's recognised I need to start with intent. So it's there. And, like, sink is the wrong word, but I have to put someone, and it's just that areas of his game. Because if we're going to play that hot potato sort of camp down their end, throw the ball around a little bit and be patient style of attack, then we've got to have a good fullback when teams like Souths eat it up. And that means that our plays, our second man plays or our set plays need to be pretty on point. And if they don't, that means that one holster has a cap gun and the second holster also has a cap gun. And so we really need that fullback, being Jareem, to be able to make sure that he can fulfill his role out there. I've got no doubt they will, because we've seen times when it does work, but I think it works because of the defensive decisions that they make instead of how crisp the shape is that they do run and they do play. That's going to depend a lot on who's inside him and who's distributing the ball to him. But like we've said, I think that the straightening of our halves so far this year has been much improved in a lot of ways.
What I say from Buller, the thing that I've noticed most in terms of his improvement has been his support play. He's looking to be everywhere.
Yeah.
And that is something that I personally been very critical of him for ever since he debuted. Like, he debuted and blistered onto the scene. We loved him, and I was like, I just want to see him support more. Perfect example, and not everyone's going to be Teddy, but perfect example is how Teddy sniffs. Teddy's always trying to follow wherever he can, no matter what. And then obviously when there's a backline shift, he'll shift out. Buller didn't really do that. Buller kind of just kept floating out the back. But this year I've noticed him really look around the ruck, look to follow, look to get that break with them. So yeah.
He's improving as a player all the time.
He is.
Yeah.
There's just things that I wish he'd improve now.
Who's your sink, mate?
I'm going with your sink last week, and I'm going with Fluke.
Mm-hmm.
It's
he didn't do a lot wrong.
There's a very unfair comparison, but I just feel that he jams in the way that Nofaluma does, and I'm not a fan of it. I noticed it a couple of times. It's not all the time. But at times it's when it's quite crucial. They made a couple of breaks around us, and he was the key reason for that. Yeah, we scrambled well. We got back. It was fine. Whatever. But there's just a lot more he needs to develop in his game, and I've got absolutely no doubt he will. No doubt he will. I think you mentioned it last week. You reckon the whole reason is he'll go to the Bears, get a few years in first grade, then come back for us as a brand new player because we're stacked for depth.
Chance.
If that happens, I think we're getting an absolutely quality player back because I think the more reps he gets under his belt, the better. Yeah. The issue is it's just when you have players of absolute quality outside you in terms of the opposition, it's very concerning if that's the way that you play.
Big commendation to the back five, though. If I'm going to read out their stats now. Buller, 18 runs for 185 metres. Tito, 12 runs for 122 metres. Giral, 20 runs for 173 metres. Marcy, 15 runs for 155 metres. And Luke Lelele, 14 runs for 138 metres. So those guys, in a lot of ways, carried our meterage on the weekend. And credit to Luke. I acknowledge everything that you say. I don't disagree. He's 19. He's raw. He shouldn't be in the first grade side at the moment. He's there filling a gap, and he's doing a job for a kid that is probably there before his time. But at the very least, he and fellow teenager Mussy, they're not shirking their work out of the backfield, mate. They've been tremendous in that area.
And then there's that we've never faulted that. We've never faulted his intent towards the line when he is actually in attack. Massey the same. Massey got crunched a couple of times. Got up shaken, went out for another run. For an 18-year-old, that's ridiculous to have just the will to just keep going forward. It's just one of those things. Like we got to have a lift and sink.
Yep.
And Luke wasn't great last week. Was in terms of against the Cowboys, and he was better, but there's still some pretty glaring weaknesses there.
Who else stood out to you on the weekend? Any other performances that you want to mention?
I'm loving more and more what KPP is bringing.
Mm-hmm.
He made a bit of a break where he had the ball in one hand and was looking for an offload and all this stuff, and I'm like, yes, do it.
Looks like a big spider.
Yeah, he definitely tightens up again, that defensive. I mentioned that last week.
Yeah, he works well with those around, with his half.
He does. And I think he's once he gets really settled into the team, because again, I think he did come back early based on the documentary we all watched from international duties, but he's only been with the team for 2-3 months. Give him a few more games, and I think will really unlock his potential.
Yeah. No, he and Samuel Touch would have the makings of a really good long-term pairing for us. To put it lightly.
Yeah, and there's no point in bringing up Sam because, Origin jersey all over him for me.
He's quality, eh? What an exceptional player Samuel Finu is. But his brother played really well on the weekend. I thought Sione, he absolutely flogged someone. Was it Tallis Duncan?
Yes.
Or Kepi. Yep. One of them he hit, and his head flew to another postcode. He hit him that hard.
Oh, maybe it was Kepi.
Might have been Sean Kepi. Got up grabbing his chest. But Sione is a good little hitman, but he's a good tempo changer. Provided the game is flowing, not against us, any given game. He and Royce coming on for different reasons could be a tremendous 1-2 punch to try to get that momentum going. Momentum being such a key part of today's game, mate.
Well, I mean, that's the big thing too, isn't it? We'll talk about this upcoming game, but there's a few of them on the bench this one.
So Sione's stats, 11 runs, 142 metres, 46 post-contact, and 1 line break. Pretty impressive, both sides of the ball, mate. Sione for me.
Yeah, I think he started the season really well. He has become what we've needed him to be off the bench. That impact, and this is something that we've discussed in the past since he debuted. Really, is his late full work at the line. It was more evident this game, more so because we were down in their end for so long. Yeah. There was times when I thought he was just going to break it through himself and score. Because just that late footwork at the line, you got, guys not sliding properly, jamming too hard or doing what have you. And there was always that opportunity. But,
I think between if they can get Pole and Royce on at the same time and we're camped down at someone's end, it's got to be a try a minute. I think they are sleeping on big inside balls or flat 3 option balls or even flat 2 option balls at the line. Like you get Pole, Sione or Royce, 2-3, you get them with the ball 2-3 metres off the line if you can. You don't stop them. I think they're getting the ball 7, 8, 9 metres out, and they're all getting within like a metre of the try line. I think we need to be dropping those guys under 1, 2, 3 and just working off Appy at times and just letting the backs sleep for a bit. And then if we can compress and suck and pull in, then zip out wide. I don't think we do. I think in the 20, we're not doing that enough, to be honest.
There used to be a play, and I'm not sure if you remember, it was a play that the Roosters used to do, like back when Mitchell Pearce was there, and he'd have 2 forwards run at the line together, and he'd pick either the outside or the inside, just make the defense guess, because you didn't know who was going to go to. That'd work really well with those guys.
Yeah. Yeah, I always liked hooker jumping out, say, to the right, and you've got a three man, but you've got a split. So 1 drops under, 2 push wide, and then you got a 3 option. You can go under or you can go long, short.
Yeah, I gotcha.
And, I mean, it's complicated, but it's all reps. You run that. Good luck. Because you can show and go yourself, and it's Appy Coruscant. Like, there's few better other than Harry Grant, probably.
There's another mention, too. I can't believe we haven't, was Appy.
Yeah, he's phenomenal.
God. When he...
Yeah.
And again, his difference between his best game and his worst game is pretty minimal. And there's not a whole lot. It's just when we say that Appy wasn't Appy, it just means that he wasn't phenomenal like he was on the weekend. He was just like a Reece Robson, stock standard.
And he nearly bamboozled Trell 2 years in a row.
That would have been... I saw that happen. I'm like, do it again.
Something about Appy and see how we can count on him having a good game against us.
Yeah.
Every time. All right, mate. There's more we can talk about when it comes to that sort of stuff, I'm sure. But we might park the Souths game for now. Is there anything else you wanted to add?
No, just one thing you were talking about, the amount that the crowd in Gosford. It's supposed to be a South home game, but it sounded like more like a Tigers home game. So well done, fans that got there.
Yeah, well done. Yeah, definitely. The Tigers chant was coming through big time. It sounded like a Tigers home game.
It did.
It sounded like louder than Leichhardt does sometimes on some coverage.
Oh, nah, I wouldn't say that.
No, I'm not saying there, but on the coverage.
Ah.
Yeah, sometimes the coverage doesn't always capture it, yeah. All right, mate, we might move on then. And I think, is it time?
Yeah, it could be time.
Sounds like it's time for Toby's Weekly Pathways Roundup.
Sweet. So we'll obviously start off with the men. We'll go on to the New South Wales Cup. So we went down to the Bunnies 20-12. It was 6-0 at halftime. So obviously they're just a halftime of ridiculous points. Not ridiculous points, but apparently a couple of the tries from the Bunnies were just, something to watch. Tries to Craig and Attard with Javon Andrews kicking the goal. So didn't realise he was a goal kicker. So that's good to know. He hasn't been named in this week's squad, has he?
In the firsts?
Yeah.
No.
We move on to the Jersey Flag, which actually ended up being a draw. So we had tries to Edmonds, Moeki, Pritchard, Minnow, and Huth. Logan Brooks kicked 3 from 4. We were actually ahead 16-6 at halftime. So they came back and drew that game. SG Boar went down to the Dogs, 22-26. Tries to tie Havea Jr., Galassi, and Lakeman. Again, we were up 22-4 at halftime. They ended up winning 26-22. Bit disappointing. Harold Matts, again, we went down to the Bulldogs 24-26. Tries to Cosgrave, Brown, Francis, Finau, and Hopewadi. It's becoming a theme. We were up 18-6 at halftime. So 3 games that we've let slip so far. Move on to the Tasha Gale. We went down to the Steelers 20-8. Tries to Tatalafua and Attard. We were down 16 to 4 at halftime. Lisa Fiola, we actually won this game. Hooray, we got a victory. 18 to 6 against the Steelers. Tries to rope a large and a double to Williams. That's interesting. They don't tell you what you're up at halftime on that one. And then ready for the big ones. So, the Laurie Daly Cup under 16s beat the Newcastle Knights 38 to 12 to make it to the grand final, where we will face the Titans. I think that's this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And then for the Andrew Johns, which is the under 15s, we end up beating the Bulldogs 28 to 18, and where we will face the Knights in the grand final. So good luck to the youngins. Do our jersey proud. And that is it from Weekly Roundup.
Very good. No, it's big news out with the MacArthur region out there, and both of those sides getting in. Yeah, big news, mate. 16s and 18s. Happy days. So it'd be interesting to see what happens there and sort of who's coming through. As always, we'll defer to the experts. West Tigers faithful on
the juniors.
All things junior detail related, particularly to that nuance. Another good one to follow. Nothing but West Tigers on X as well is a good account for everything, actually, West Tigers content, but particularly some junior content too. So, good on you, mate. Thanks very much for the roundup. Let's jump into this week's game. A tough one. We are in Auckland against the Warriors. Wow, 5 p.m. Queensland time. So 6 p.m. Daylight savings time down there in New South Wales. And the Warriors are flying. They're $1.22. That is, I know that they're a damn good chance at the minute, but that is short. We're out to 4:30.
That's really short, isn't it?
We line up as follows, though, similar to last week in a lot of ways. Jerome Buller is the fullback. Skelton is named on the wing this time after being named in the centres last week, but playing wing. We've got Tito and Massey in the centres. Luke Lealii remains on the other wing on the left. Jock Madden comes in for the injured Jerome Luai. Dewey is named at halfback. Remains to be seen if that ends up being the case, but we can only take Benji on his word. Terrell and Fanua are the starting props. Appy doesn't lock the scrum. Appy is the hooker. We've got Samuela, Kai Pearce-Paul as the edge back rowers, and Twally locks the scrum as per usual. We've got Tristan Hope pushed up into 14. Sione Fainu, Royce Hunt, Alex Seyfarth looks the same. Bunty R4 comes onto an extended bench, and congratulations to Tino Tavana. For Alea Tino Tavana for his squad, or his starting 19. Starting 19? His game day 19 debut, so he gets to... He might even get on the field, mate. Hopefully not, because it would be indicating another injury, touch wood. Yep. But interestingly, in the extended reserves, we've got Tony Suka, Latu Fainu. I need to stop saying Fainu, and Patrick Herbert at 22 there, mate. I might mention, actually, while I'm here, a couple of big ins for the Warriors. And we always talk about timing. Pompey, Harris Tavita, Nickel Klukstar, Eremiah, and Metcalf all return. So they got Chansey Nickel Klokstad at the back, Witeni Zelezniak, Pompey and Lauatawa. I'm going to struggle with some of these names. How's that one? Lauatawa? Tuivasa-Sheck is the other winger. Metcalf is the 6. Tanner Boyd in great form at 7. Fisher Harris and Jackson Ford also in great form. Starting props, Wade Egan. Leka Halasima, gun, young player. We all know about him. Jacob Laban is the other edge back row, and Aaron Clark had a cracker of a year last year and seems to have started the same, much like our much esteemed Alex Twal, mate. Much in the
against Lock.
In the footsteps of a rejuvenated Twally. Sam Healy, Mitch Barnett, fair 15 to have on your bench. Vaumanga, Tenor, Stowers, Smith, Murata Niokore, and Chanel Harris Tavita is their 19. Not their 20, they're 19. Tan Tuapiki, Khan Pereira, and Eremiah Tuova'a. He's changed his name, has he? Eremiah Tuova'a, I think, at 23. So a few that come back, mate. Warriors have started hot. They've executed their chances, played decent sides. Had a fair bit of run of the go last week, though. Just had a quick look then, 56% of possession. A lot of ball against a Knights side that is struggling. and dispatched them relatively easily. But the Knights were sticking around for a little while.
Oh, they were. I don't know if you watched that game, but they were coming back until a brain fade from Dane Gagai. Oh my god.
Yeah.
I actually had a really good look at the teams this week to see if he was going to be named, because if I was that coach and that caused that, I would have dropped him. That was horrible.
Yeah, he's a bit past his use by date, but when we play him, he'll probably be man of the match and score 47 tries. Mate, Warriors are an interesting side. They're obviously a good side when they're on, and I think they are a bit like the Bulldogs of last year in that people love to hype them because they haven't been strong consistently for a long period of time. But they're winning football games. They're on top of the ladder, so you can't argue with it. I think that they do have more weaknesses than it appears. I just think that they are a very strong team running downhill, and in wet, windy conditions in Auckland, when they're in good form with returning players, is as downhill as you get. So it's going to be a tough task, mate.
It is. It's going to be a very tough task. But my first bold prediction is we're going to win.
I've got us winning too.
Yeah. And I've got it for one reason. I feel like this is a loss that the Warriors need. And I know it's only round 4. I know this. They've only won 3 games in a row. And it's only round 4.
That'd be nice. 3 games in a row.
Yeah, I know. Do you remember what that was like? Because I don't.
No, not even a little bit.
But yeah, I've just got this feeling that they're not exactly going to turn up the way they have recently, and we're going to exploit that.
Look, I hope you're right. They've had a lot of changes, but with a lot of changes comes new combinations. They've got a centre coming back in. They've got a fullback coming back in. They've got a 5'8" coming back in. Metcalf coming back, quality player, but coming back off an ACL. You've got, who else did I mention there as well coming back? Well, those are probably the big ones. But I think for me, I'm looking at the edges, and we're missing our centres as well. But I think that there can be a bit to be gained. Taruva at times gave Latrell a little bit of trouble.
Yeah, I agree.
And Latrell, as much as he's not the strongest laterally, Latrell's a good defender. It's hard to get past Latrell Mitchell. It's pretty well known. And Hamasi had his hands full with Whiten, but Whiten defended really well. Everybody has been praising Whiten's defensive efforts, and he contained Hamasi, is what Jack Whiten did. And I think that if we give Marcy good ball and we can run good shape, in lieu of Luai not being there, I think Marcy can present some headaches for Pompey as well. So whether that plays out that way or not, I think that we have an opportunity out wide with these guys. Up front, which was our strength last week, we've just got to contain them. And to me, there's no reason that we can't.
Yeah.
We dominated South up the middle. And Warriors have got a good pack, like a mighty good pack. But they're not infallible. Jackson Ford is playing really well. But Jackson Ford is hardly, from days gone by, a household name, starting prop, front rower, high end. James Fisher-Harris, quality player, but not infallible. So I'd like to think that our forward pack can rise to the occasion. If we can match it with them, then at least we can stay in the game for a long period of time. One matchup I like, which I only just realised looking at it, is we've got KPP marking Halasima. And I think that if we're going to have anyone in the league just about marking Halasima as a defensive second rower, it's probably the guy you want. And so I'm hoping that will work in our favour to maybe nullify some of that threat on the edge there when they've got the ball.
Yeah, I haven't thought about it like that, but look, I praised KPP before, so I wouldn't put it past him either.
The Warriors I have, is ruck speed. If they get a roll on through the middle and are controlling the contact and the impact with the ball, we're in big trouble. Because I spoke last week about against the Cows how we struggled wrestle to the ground. We struggled to put them where we wanted them. And this type of side will just destroy us through the centre, especially with Aaron Clark. If that's the case, and Wade Egan is a great running hooker who with plenty of experience that knows what he's doing. So we've got to contain them at impact, which means they've got to bring their shoulders. They have done so far, but the Warriors on the road is like it's a daunting opposition. Everyone knows it's going to be a big game in cold conditions against hardened men. So the boys have to be up to it, and they've got to match, and they've got to win, not just the wrestle, they've got to win the impact too. We don't control that ruck. They could put 40 through us. So your bold prediction is you have us winning. What's the scoreline?
What's the weather like? Do we know?
I think it's a little bit wet and windy. 21 or something.
Summary. Just looking at it now. Well, it's not really telling me. It could go one of two ways. If it's wet and windy, it's going to be a low scoring one. I have us winning 16-6. Otherwise, it's going to be around the 28-12.
So 6 p.m. Friday, we're looking at about 20 degrees in Auckland. High humidity, 65% of precipitation, so might be a bit greasy. So what do you got us at then?
16-6.
16-6. Winning?
Winning. I think they're going to have a game where there's going to be a bit of drop ball. I think the thing too is you're going to have two halves that are just out and out halfbacks, and that can be, people do tend to overshadow each other when they do that, or try to overshadow each other subconsciously. Who knows? But I think that'll also play a part in that as well.
Okay. I think we need to obviously simplify a game plan. I think that Adam should push basically Jock should come play halfback, essentially. Take most of the kicking off Adam, which will help the hamstring, including the goal kicking. I think we should do a lot of contested bombs. Target Nickel Klukstar coming back, who can have average hands on his day. Definitely target Wateni Zelezniak, who can have a stormer but can have a stinker at the same time. And I'd be telling Jareem, Marcy, mainly those two, even some of our second rowers, that we're going to put a lot of high balls up, in and around, out wide, 1/3 in, 10 yards in or whatnot, and just going to pepper them all night. So just be up for contest, and see how we go there. Like, it's a bit of a lottery, but I think it's a way that you can target them. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how you score points. Team with the most points normally wins the football game.
Well, yeah. No, that was a great comment once from who? Was it Gus Gould?
I think it was Gus.
Yeah, Gus. Someone told me once, if you score more points, you win the game. Yeah, no shit, Gus. Thanks.
Something like that.
Nostradamus.
Must have been tongue in cheek. So you got a 16-6. I said I've got us winning. That's just being very bold as well. I'm not going to make it my bold, but I've got us winning. So scoreline, I don't think we contain them unless it's wet weather. So I'd like to think that we could keep them to 22. And so that puts us at about 26. So 26-22. We get a win in wet conditions. Fingers crossed. Bold prediction, though, is that we're going to get Terrell have an absolute stormer and get one up over Fisher Harris. I'm going to pick Terrell to run for 200 metres in the wet.
In his limited times, too.
Big minutes, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So big minutes, big work rate. I'm tipping him to have a big game. That's about it from me on that game. We're obviously going to watch it, but it's a daunting proposition, especially having lost. Let's be honest, he's our everything. He's our everything. Jerome Luai is our captain. He's our major motivator. He's the bloke that most people look to. How much of an effect do you think that'll have on the playing squad, or are they far enough along now down the road of professionalism as a squad and as a club that they can move past not having him out there?
From a 5/8 perspective, I think we can move past that. From a captain and a presence perspective, it's going to be hard.
Yeah, I agree.
So
I think his skill set, whilst not replaceable directly, we can account for it in the short term.
Yeah,
I think it's everything else he brings, all those intangibles that we've banged on about, and like it's just growing all the time. You see him out there, like there's clips of him getting around to the players with his busted knee after the loss in Souths and how he's getting around, touching base with all of them. He'll still be there, still be doing that, but I think we're gonna miss that. So fingers crossed we can put in a good performance. It's going to be hard to cop a loss if it goes that route, as much as it is the case. We'll be looking at, a 2-1 if it does go that path, if the bookies are right, and if form guide is a guide, the Warriors are going to be tough to beat, mate. But as long as we're in the match, we'll have to keep looking at the positives and keep playing the long game.
Yep.
Cool. Anything else you want to add on that one?
No, I just want to watch the game.
You're pumped to watch the game?
5
p.m, you got to get your ducks in a row. I might have to watch that one a little bit later. I have to see how we go.
Yeah, no, I'll be I generally have to take my eldest to musical theatre at that time, but I've managed to convince my wife to do it so I can watch the game.
Good work. Well done. Good woman.
Good woman.
All right. All West Tigers media is good media in our eyes. West Tigers TV, West Tigers podcast, and the West Tigers Faithful podcast, The Ambush on Facebook, westtigersforum.com. Get on over and follow them. Tell them who sent you. The humble guys from the Tiger Town podcast. Thank you to our sponsor, Best on Ground Digital. Best on Ground Digital, the digital marketing agency that looks after the little guys. Score in the corner with bestongrounddigital.com. Davis, mate, early game, shitty time slot. Like, seriously. Poor time slot for us.
Great.
It's not great, especially because it's usually a Warriors game, or it's often a Warriors game, and then it's hard over there. And then once you usually lose as a West Tigers supporter, you've got the rest of the weekend to just feel like shit about it. So
yeah, that's right. That's why
we're being bold and we're going to win. So that's not a problem for us.
We're going to feel great about it.
I'm pumped. I hope you are. Nothing more to say than round 4. Let's go and get the Wars and up the mighty West Tigers.
Up the West Tigers.